It is that time. Since today is the kickoff of the NFL season, we're going to do what every other Hacky Sports Radio show does, okay? We have to. We have to have our takes in because everyone can make a prediction. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has a you-know-what. But we got to do it so that when we're right, we can rub it in your face how we were right. But if we're wrong, we'll forget about it and act like it never happened. Mm-hmm. This is Speak for Your Pizza Culture.
Yeah, what were our picks? What was our record during picks last year?
We don't even remember.
After like week 4.
That's how far you guys got tracking it last year was week 4?
Yeah, there's only so many 1 for 5s and 2 for 4s that you can put in where you're like, what's the point?
MyBookie.ag, promo code BET975 if you're into it. So, Texans swarm! And by the way, it's swarming time in the AFC South. The Texans are the frontrunners to win the AFC South per mybookie.ag plus 105. Jaguars plus 250. The Colts plus 320. So the odds are actually fairly close together for the top 3 teams in the division. The Titans are plus 900. Why wouldn't the Texans win the AFC South? I will start. CJ Stroud gets hurt. That's why they wouldn't win. That's the only way I can see it not happening. I had some doubts going into the offseason, or not offseason, into training camp, because the Colts played the Texans so close. The last game last year, and they did it with Gardner Minshew under center. But it's been a really rough offseason for Anthony Richardson. The vibes do seem off. So while I think the Colts will certainly not be an easy opponent on Sunday for the Texans, I still like them, the Texans, to win the division over Indianapolis.
I also like the Texans to win the division. Besides injury, if the Texans are not going to win the division, I would say they struggle against all these playoff teams that they're going to play. That the tough part of the schedule that we've talked about. Baltimore, Kansas City, Miami, Buffalo, Green Bay, Detroit, the Jets. Like there's the Dallas Cowboys. There's so many good teams on the schedule this year that I still think it's very possible that they go 9-8 and have a good year.
Damn.
But Jacksonville with an easier schedule makes a run at it. Because I do feel like that we've overlooked Jacksonville. Like this is a team that won a playoff game, was 8-3 to start the season last year, and then fell apart. But Trevor Lawrence was hurt, banged up a little bit. Like I think they've improved the wide receiver room. You know, I was not really a Calvin Ridley believer, so I still kind of think Jacksonville's a threat. I'm also picking the Texans to win the division, though. It wouldn't stun me if they go 9-8 and they miss out by a game.
Okay. The Jaguars are interesting for sure. Christian Kirk is healthy. That was a problem for them last year. They drafted Brian Thomas Jr. They also brought in Gabe Davis. They completely overhauled their offense. Their offensive line, they added Mitch Morse. I think Cam Robinson's supposed to be healthy for this year. So everything is adding up for Jacksonville to be better than they were last year, specifically down the stretch. Mm-hmm. 2 questions I have are, 1, do you believe in Trevor Lawrence as a special player? I think he's good. I don't think he's special. I think he regularly misses balls that are very easy. He overthrows guys. I think he fumbles too much. I think the mistakes that he makes are things that will make us talk about him the same way that we talk about Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott in a few years. There's still a little bit of new car smell with Trevor Lawrence. And with Doug Peterson, what he did in Philadelphia was stupendous. But, I mean, he's got a more talented quarterback than he worked with in Philadelphia 100%. And won with in Philadelphia in Nick Foles. And I would say Lawrence, at least in terms of talent, is where Carson Wentz was way back in the day. Because there was a moment where Carson Wentz looked like he might win MVP. But is Peterson as good as he's made out to be, or was that stretch that they had where they won with Nick Foles 3 games in a row a fluke?
Yeah, I lean fluke, I think, right now. Don't you?
Yeah.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, Carson Wentz was playing like an MVP before he got hurt that year, but they were so talented. And Nick Foles was always like a fine quarterback, and they got the job done. But then he got fired, 2 years later after winning the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
And then now it's this. So they're interesting. A lot of these articles I've read, Paul, about like bold predictions for the NFL season or teams that can surprise you. The Tennessee Titans keep coming up. Do you feel that way at all? Like that they might surprise us this year?
I get surprised in that I have no expectations for them, but they fired Mike Vrabel and they hired some rando. Like, it's just vintage Titans. Let's hire the most boring coaching candidate possible. And look, you can't predict what a coach is going to do based off of like who he is. It really can't make any predictions on coaches. It is throwing darts blindfolded, but this is the same organization that's had Mike Munchak and Mike Mularkey, and Brian Callahan is another version of that. Basically a football nepo baby who, yes, was with the Bengals, but okay, like, see the reason Joe Burrow's good? We're going to try to pull that one over everybody. And they just had Mike Vrabel, who's a good coach. So I think that Tennessee has some talent for sure, but I think they're just going to be annoying. I don't think they're going to actually surprise anyone.
I could see them in the 8-9 win range, like on the high end.
Right.
On the high end.
Ceiling.
Like, that's them popping.
Yeah.
Like, I really can't see the Jags, like, pop. Like, the best case scenario for the Jags, I struggle to see them winning 11 games.
I think I'm still part of the holdout group on Trevor Lawrence as part of it. I still think that there's something there that at some point I have to let go of this, but you think back to his freshman year when he won a national championship at Clemson and just like how good he was. And he was like the prince that was promised basically to the NFL.
Yeah, that's what Nick Wright calls him.
And it hasn't worked out that way, but I'm still a believer. Like, I think back to last year when they beat the Texans, like, yes, they would have lost that game. Jacksonville would have if Kyrie Fairbairn was healthy. But in that game, there's drops all over the field. And I just still view the Jacksonville as this. I'm higher on Trevor Lawrence than I'm on the organization. And like, that's what I'm trying to balance out.
Fair enough.
That I would agree with that. I think with Lawrence, what you brought up is a good point. Like, when he came up at Clemson, he was already super polished for someone his age. He just never he kind of fell behind, it feels like.
I think he's plateaued.
Yeah, or his age kept getting, and he didn't get more polished with age.
Totally agree.
I don't think he's an 18. I think he's more polished than like an 18-year-old quarterback now, but he is like, he just hasn't hit that next level. And if I'm looking at just the quarterbacks in this division who I think can really like be something in their careers, I mean, obviously it's CJ you'd believe in the most. And for me, I think Anthony Richardson, like if he figures it out kind of scenario, that's the one I'm most scared of.
The way he was talked about in college, I always was a little skeptical of it because I thought to myself, look who he's playing with. I mean, he had some really good players around him in Clemson, and he was also playing in the ACC, which, as a Syracuse guy, I know blows. So with Trevor Lawrence, I was never all the way in. This is not me patting myself on the back. I just always felt that he was put on a pedestal that I didn't necessarily think was merited, but everyone talks about him so much that I figured, okay, well, maybe I'm just wrong here. But to this point, I think we've seen a guy who just hasn't really improved, and we were expecting that to happen. Sometimes the guys who are the great prospects, the problem is they never get better. Like, that's
they never take the next step.
Yeah. And that's where I think Lawrence is. I don't think he's a bad player. I think a lot of Texans fans have gotten a little bit too cocky talking about him. But I also thought in last year's Texas Jaguars game, the same game you're talking about, where there were a lot of drops by the Jaguars, I thought that a lot of what Trevor Lawrence did in that game was just dinking and dunking. And then they had great yards after the catch plays. I think they had like 3 or 4 plays where he threw it maybe 2 yards, and then the guys took it 30 to 40 yards afterwards. Now, again, hey, take the yards you can get, all that stuff. But I thought CJ Stroud outplayed Lawrence in that last game. Jaguars fans got very mad about that take, and you hate to see them go from 8-3 to 9-8. But hey, it happens. The AFC West, Chiefs are minus 260 to win the West. Chargers with Jim Harbaugh aboard plus 380. They also got a ginger defensive lineman turned fullback. That's fun. The Raiders are plus 1,000. The Broncos are plus 2,000. The Raiders and Broncos are not worth your time this year.
Nope.
We're all picking the Chiefs here, right?
Yes.
Sean Payton. No, yeah, I'm picking the Chiefs.
Right.
I mean,
Bo Nix. I don't know.
Like, I don't hate the Chargers as like a.
Chargers are a fun play, but plus 380 is not long enough for me.
Yeah, could they be a wild card team?
Yeah, I would look at their
Sure.
wild card odds as opposed to the division.
But like, I'm not going to pick anyone to beat the Chiefs this year.
No, I'm not either. I think they're going to win it. I think,
especially this division. This division stinks.
It does, and I think you take a look at the Chiefs' schedule because they're in this division, and I think their NFC schedule is rather favorable too. I have a hard time picking against the Chiefs at all this year. I mean, would love to see someone take them down because I don't want the Chiefs to have a three-peat on the Patriots?
Greatest dynasty of all time.
Stop.
They would be.
Stop.
Okay.
They'd have to win 2 more Super Bowls after that Super Bowl that they would have to win.
They'd have to win 5 straight?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Even though it took 20 years for the...
I'm gonna ask for something completely unrealistic because I realize the walls are crumbling in.
You're getting nervous.
Not only is my dynasty about to be a thing of the past, it's also about to be lapped.
Ooh,
It does feel that way.
Yeah, Joe, you should have listened to the day after the Super Bowl Gallant.
I think I do remember that.
What did I do? I don't even remember.
Yeah, you were pretty bummed. You were pretty bummed that the Chiefs won.
Yeah, it was.
It's a real moment of weakness.
What can we say?
All I know is that right now on the Pat McAfee show, the Chiefsaholic guy,
17 and a half years.
He got 17 and a half years for robbing a bank.
Man, they sentenced him today.
Oh,
what a bunch of a-holes. That's low.
Cruel and unusual.
Let him see the banner raised. Is he going to get processed while this is all happening? Probably. Yeah. Right? I mean, if you get sentenced today, I would imagine it's like 8 to 10 hours before you're officially in a cell. Are they going to let you out? Are they going to send you to federal penitentiary that doesn't even have a DirecTV and NFL Sunday ticket? I mean, what is this?
I imagine he does get sent federal, right? Because he crossed 100 state lines to do this.
I don't think that federal prison has NFL Sunday ticket. Could be wrong.
I mean, probably with this chauffeur from DirecTV to UTV. I don't know if they made this switch.
Someone give my man a cell phone.
Yeah, well, if he's in Texas, DirecTV, no ESPN. So,
the funniest thing is
that hotline.
They granted this guy bail.
I know.
And he immediately
left.
He immediately did exactly what everyone joked that he would do.
Yes, and he was on the run for a while too.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, it took him a couple of months to get him, if I'm not mistaken.
How long would you last on the run?
Oh, I don't think very long.
No.
I'd like to say I would, but no. I mean, I don't like carrying cash around because I don't like making eye contact with homeless people because it makes me feel guilty and I feel like I need to give them some, And I'd have to be all cashed out, and I don't have that much cash. As
a lot of cameras these days.
Yeah, that's a problem. Like, it's just really hard.
I think, Paul, you could with the on the camera's front, you could grow a giant beard, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd have to shave my eyebrows. I don't want to do that. They're great.
Thin them out a little, yeah.
They're great.
Why did they shave your eyebrows?
Because they're so
distinctive. They're
unmissable. Okay. I mean, they're very recognizable. Especially
with the AI technology. I'm imagining this is some sort of CSI maneuver that they're doing where they hold on. Who's that bearded man? Enhance. No, just his eyebrows. Run those through the system. And yep, we got him. That's the PG train.
Quick predictions. This is the most boring division in the NFL now. Shout out to the AFC South. No longer the most boring division in the NFL, thanks to your Houston Texans. But the NFC South, not very good. Are we all in agreement that the Atlanta Falcons, minus 138, are going to win the NFC South? As we continue to do NFL division predictions at the back end of segments.
Yeah, I'm going Falcons. I wanted to make an argument for Tampa. They won last year. But if Kirk Cousins can... The only thing against him is if he can't move because of his Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going Falcons.
That offense was so bad last year with Desmond Ridder, despite having lots of weapons that we all think are very good. So I'm taking the Falcons still because Kirk Cousins is not a great quarterback, but you definitely would have loved to have him back in the days of Davis Mills here.
Mm-hmm. Sean? That means he's taking the Panthers.
No, that's my thoughts on this division. I don't love it when a favorite I don't really believe in, but they're such a big favorite. Well, more on the NFC East later. But I mean, what am I going to sit here and take New Orleans? Sit here and take the Bucs to go back to back. That's the fact they won it last year almost, and then they lost their OC makes me feel worse about them. I can't even work myself into a contrarian take. It's like, it better be the Falcons.
I love that their offensive coordinator, Dave Canales, is now the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. This is the same man who wrote a book about an affair he had on his wife. That he co-wrote with his wife.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that part. He co-wrote it?
Easy, Jeff. We don't want to dive into your closet. We don't. I went down quite the rabbit hole last night.
Yes, you did.
Thanks to a tweet by Archbishop DeShays. Holy crap. I didn't know any of that stuff about Jeff Bagwell.
I didn't
Wow.
either. I'm glad you started just sending all that info into the
I
group chat because I was just reading.
my God. Shout out to my friend Miles for sending me all of that. Holy smokes. Oh, stop. Now I kind of want to move away. So the Falcons are minus 138 by bookie.ag to win the NFC South. The Bucks plus 300, Saints plus 400, and the Panthers plus 1,100. Man, the Panthers are significantly have better odds to win their division than my New England Patriots, who are by far the worst in the NFL, plus 2,500. My God.
For a division?
Yeah, for a division, plus 2,500 to win the East.
That
Oh,
sounds
boy.
like a Super Bowl loss.
No, those are probably more. God, I can't even imagine what their Super Bowl odds are. I don't want to even see it. Being up there in Boston, listening to Boston Sports Talk Radio, just clowning on them, I was thinking to myself, we had some good times. Good times. Just playing Good Riddance by Green Day in the background. Another turning point. Jacoby Brissett is ass. The AFC East. MyBookie.ag. The odds on AFC East teams. Jets are plus 165. Bills are plus 190. Dolphins plus 204. The Patriots are plus 2,500. I mean, F you, MyBookie.ag. Kill you. You're killing me slowly inside. Plus 2,500 are the longest odds for any NFL team to win a division. The longest.
It's because there's 3 good ones.
Longer than the Giants and longer than the Panthers. And that hurts my heart.
Yeah.
Where are you going with this one, Paul?
This is it is an interesting division at the top.
It is an interesting division because you got 3 teams. We could all pick a different team.
I think everyone's sleeping on the Bills. I'm taking the Bills.
Okay.
I feel like the way the Bills finished off last year, bad you out with Stephon Diggs gone. Again, just appreciating things in Houston. Great. I think that they figured out a new way to win. And I mean, I don't know if they'll beat Kansas City in another matchup, but I think everyone's assuming Buffalo's dead because they lost a lot of pieces. And I don't know. I think it's a pretty well coached team. McDermott's a little weird, but I'm taking the Bills.
I'm going to go with the Jets.
Oh,
I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets to win the division.
If you gave the Jets any other name, it would make sense.
I agree with that 100%.
They have the best defense in the division. They have the quarterback with the most pelts on the wall in the division. I don't know that Aaron Rodgers is still better than Josh Allen, but they got everything. They got a pretty good running back. They probably need some more receivers around Rodgers, to be perfectly honest, but the Jets make the most sense. They're just the Jets. That's why I didn't do it.
Yeah, I just think there's so much talent on.
I'm not dumping on you for that take. I totally get it. They're just the Jets.
This was hard. I think this was maybe the hardest one.
Yeah, this is definitely the hardest one. I think the Dolphins also kind of fall into that category of if you make them Team X, you feel a little bit differently than being the Dolphins. I'm along the same lines as Paul. I believe in Josh Allen enough that they can win this division. I see that he's second in the on the odds boards most places for MVP this year. I think that's aggressive because I don't think they can be the 1 seed. I think this division, especially this division being so tough, they're going to beat up against each other. But that does strike me as that's about the right way to think of him as his place in the league as a quarterback. And so, yeah, give me the Bills.
AFC North. Ravens are the favorites to win at plus 140. Bengals second, plus 150. The Browns at plus 500. The Steelers at plus 750. The Browns are the spicy play, but that's if you believe in Deshaun Watson. I don't think there are many people anywhere that believe in Deshaun Watson right now. I think even the most loyal Deshaun Watson absolutists here, now that CJ Stroud's good, you're probably like, eh.
Yeah.
I'm not picking the Browns, by the way. This one's tough. I'm a big Joe Burrow guy. I think he's one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the game. I want to pick the Bengals here. I do. It's hard to pick them over Baltimore. But guess what? I'm doing it. Bengals, baby!
What a twist.
I talked myself into that one.
What a twist. I could tell.
I'm gonna ride with you.
Hell yeah, let's go, Joe.
I had Baltimore written down, but I can't get over Joe Burrow.
I love Joe.
Yeah, I love Joe Burrow.
You can't get her this year, right? Now I'm starting to talk myself off of this take.
I'm gonna go with the Ravens, and it's because it's something that I stumbled into when talking about Jamar Chase and his potential availability for Week 1 with potentially no Chase. We'll see if he plays. Whatever. This is more long term of what if he rolls an ankle? What if something happens? Without Tyler Boyd, I am not 100% sure who the third wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals is.
And without Joe Mixon.
And without Mixon, they're going to be between Moss and Chase Brown. But it's going to be a lot on Burrow, Chase, Higgins. I'm just going to bet on the stability that is the Baltimore Ravens. I think if Lamar plays every game.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, there's a reason why it's plus 140, plus 150.
Yeah.
Like
it's
going to come down to a game.
It is close. It's not crazy that we disagree. But that is my thinking of just the Ravens just feel more stable of a proposition, especially in the regular season. Playoffs, if they play in a playoff game, I don't know who I'm picking. But in regular season, I'm rolling with the Ravens.
The NFC North. The Lions are plus 130, the favorites to win the division per mybookie.ag. Enter promo code BET975 for a sweet little first deposit bonus. The Packers are plus 220. The Bears are plus 275. I'm surprised that it's that high. I know that Caleb Williams and all that. The Vikings are plus 950. None of us are picking the Vikings. They're a mess. JJ McCarthy's out for the year. Kevin O'Connell, I think he's a pretty good coach, but it's going to be a tough one to make happen with Sam Darnold. But the top of the division is fun. Bears are a fun play for some. What are you doing, Joe?
I'm not picking the Bears.
Not picking the Bears.
I played them plus 225 to make a wild card berth this year. I'm gonna go Lions.
Okay.
Because I don't totally believe in Jordan Love still. I lean to that. I believe in him and what he did in the playoffs. Like his stats were almost identical to CJ's in the first round of the playoffs. Like he had a great game.
Killed the Cowboys.
Yeah. So I lean that he's good, but I'm just not totally there because it was half a season. So I'm going to go Lions, but I don't feel super confident in it.
Okay. I'm going with the Packers.
Okay.
I like the Lions too. I like Love better than Goff. That's simple.
That's sometimes it is that simple.
Right.
Because I think they're both two very talented teams. I think these are, other than the Niners, probably in the top three of the NFC. I think off the top of my head, there's no other team that I would take from the other two divisions that aren't the Niners, Lions, or Packers.
Right. I think in the NFC, this is the best 1-2 at the top of the division. Yeah. I guess some would make the argument in the NFC West. It's the 49ers and Rams, but I think Sean McVay's making a lot happen.
Yeah,
not a lot.
I think we'll get to the Rams later. I'm gonna go with the Lions. I think just top to bottom. This is also Dan Campbell.
Man, Campbell.
Yeah, tie goes to Dan Campbell.
Applebee's spokesman now.
He's an Applebee's spokesman?
Applebee's pitchman. Wisho's Chili's.
Yeah, but I guess Applebee's is the official bar and grill or whatever the NFL. So him, Purdy.
I forgot about that.
A bunch of guys are doing.
I forgot that the NFL.
He was pretty good. It was funny.
Honestly, the NFL should be embarrassed to be associated with Applebee's.
Sorry
to all the fine workers out at Applebee's.
It's not your fault.
I don't even know the last time I've seen one. I used to go to Applebee's all the time growing up. But there's none in League City, I don't think. So I don't know the last time I saw an Applebee's.
I'm so loyal to Chili's. There's no way in hell you would ever get me to go to Applebee's. I remember one time we were in Massachusetts. My dad picked me and my sister up from the airport, and there was a Mexican restaurant that we drove by on the way. My dad suggested, let's go there. And I said, are you effing kidding me? I live in Texas now. I think I'm going to eat this Yankee crap. And then he took me to Applebee's, and I wish that I'd eaten the Yankee crap because I felt like I just betrayed all that I am by going to Applebee's over Chili's.
I think the closest one we got is in Stafford.
I think one of the most intense debates I ever had with Vanessa when Vanessa was doing the back in Vag Nation, we got into it over Applebee's and Chili's.
Stop.
She's an Applebee's fan. Just an absolute disgusting outrage.
I will say,
makes me think less of her. Love you, Vanessa, but makes me think less of her.
Maybe it's a Midwest thing. Because growing up in Illinois, and she grew up in Indiana, right?
Yes.
That Applebee's was always bigger than Chili's.
I guess, but I don't know. I feel like Applebee's is Alabama.
They had the market.
I'd rather go to Waffle House than Applebee's. And I had that option after every single high school football game that I played. There's an Applebee's across the street from a Waffle House. You know where we went every single time after the game? Waffle House. Hell yeah, Florida man.
Hell yeah, Florida. Oh yeah, we're definitely Chili's country. There's 3 Chili's just from what, 3 miles from the station.
Yeah, the closest Chili's to the station is where the person who hit and ran my car last summer ditched his car and fled on foot.
Yeah,
Maybe he went inside to the Chili's and got himself some chicken crispers or some baby back ribs.
Southwest egg rolls.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
Yeah, there's like 10 in the greater Houston area. There's like
Not enough.
5 Applebee's.
Good. Well, you know what? You ever want to do a turf war, Chili's? You need some muscle. Sign me up. I'll
Like
fight.
Roadhouse, but for Chili's.
I would carry the sigil of Chili's.
House Chili.
that-
Oh, House Chili's.
House Chili's.
Yeah.
House Chili's. NFC West. 49ers are favorites at minus 196. The Rams plus 330. The Seahawks plus 700. The Cardinals plus 1300. Is this one where we all agree it's going to be the 49ers? Because
Nope.
I got the 49ers. Oh, okay, Joe. Hit me.
My picks are too chalky. I'm picking favorites every single time. I gotta make something different. I'm taking the Rams.
Okay.
I like Matt Stafford. I know they don't have Aaron Donald. I think we've talked about this, how it wouldn't stun any of us if he came back this year and played. But I like what they have with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum and Puka and Cooper Kupp. Like I'm gonna go with Sean McVay and the Rams.
Only reason I would push back, Stafford's health.
I know.
The guy's
I
the
know.
toughest player, I think, in recent NFL history with all he has played through. I feel like at some point he's not going to be able to overcome the very many back injuries that he has dealt with over the course of his career. But to his credit, I mean, last year the Rams were a very surprising good team last year.
Yeah, and they went on a run, and a big run last year, and that's part of it. And maybe this is the opposite of Trevor Lawrence with Brock Purdy, that because he was the last pick in the draft, I can never really buy in. Like I just have this inherent bias.
That probably plays a part.
MVP candidate Brock Purdy.
I know, but I just can't do it.
How about you, Sean?
I agree with Joe that Matt Stafford's a badass, and I really think their offense is going to be good with Cooper Kupp being healthy, now Nakua, the 2 running backs that they have. I just have questions about their defense. Losing Donald, replacing him with the 2 FSU guys versus I forgot the other guy that they got. And then they trade Ernest Jones. They traded their best linebacker a couple weeks ago. I just have a lot of questions on, are they a complete team? So I'm going to go with the Niners.
For what it's worth, Florida State sure misses those defensive linemen,
Yeah.
given how many
No,
yards they gave up.
Verse is definitely good. The other guy whose name I forgot, also definitely good. Not good enough for me to remember his name.
But good.
But he's good. They missed.
All right. Sean and I have the Niners. Joe has the Rams. NFC East time.
This is a hard one.
The Eagles are minus 127 to win. Minus? I'm shocked by that.
I'm surprised by the minus. So if I was actually betting this, I would bet on the Cowboys.
Okay.
But there hasn't been a repeat winner in the NFC East in 17 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So just based on that, I'm gonna go Eagles.
You're gonna go Eagles.
Sean, did you bet on the Commanders before we left Lake Charles?
I sure did.
Oh,
Let's go. Okay.
I was gonna say this is gonna be the biggest the biggest long shot that we take.
Commanders per mybookie.ag are plus 910 to win the NFC.
Yes, I think I have them in real life at plus 900
okay.
from LaBerge Lake Charles. Yeah, I believe in the Commanders. I also don't believe in the Eagles and Cowboys. I think they're both. I mean, the Eagles full on quit on their coach. Full stop. They quit on their coach last year, and they brought him back.
Yeah.
They had the article about how the coach, who's an offensive-minded head coach, and the quarterback cannot be in meetings by themselves together. There has to be a third person in the room every time they're together.
Not a great sign.
Not a great sign. And the fact that third person is going to be Kellen Moore, I don't know. That doesn't strike fear in my heart on fading the Eagles. I mean, we all know about the Cowboys offseason. I think it's fair to have questions about them. I think this is a situation where the Commanders can be a 10-7 team, 9-8 maybe, and win this division. And yeah, they just need to be decent on defense. That's really it. Be decent on defense with Dan Quinn, getting some free agent acquisitions that they made that are just NFL quality players. This is very Texans of last year, where you're depending on the number 2 pick at quarterback to really hit, with Terry McLaurin, a really good receiver, and Brian Robinson, decent running back. I like what I've seen so far out of Robinson ever since he got shot and has been able to play in the NFL now. I think that the Commanders have a real chance to be this year's Texans.
I like that. That is spicier.
All right.
That is probably the spiciest thing this segment.
Actually,
No,
might be
you
the
picked
spiciest
someone
thing
who's
today.
plus 6,000.
Yeah, fair enough.
So are you going to take the Cowboys?
I'm taking the Cowboys.
How about them? Cowboys?
Here's how I'm looking at this, and we'll have a segment of playing with the boys where I'm gonna feel terrible about making this pick when I do it. Just the vibes are not great in Dallas, but are they ever great? I mean, it always feels like there's so many distractions that are around the team that you forget that. Yeah, they got smoked by the Packers. It was an embarrassing performance, no doubt about it. I mean, come on, at least show up. But that very same Packers team almost beat the 49ers, who represented the NFC in the Super Bowl, and those 49ers almost beat the Chiefs. Now, anything can happen in the NFL, right? But if the Cowboys had a better score in that loss to the Packers, I think we'd be talking about them in a totally different way. I don't think we'd be thinking they needed to make that many additions. Like the running back situation is really the one that you look at. Zeke did play well for New England last year, for what it's worth. But I think Dallas is the best team in the division. I think they're the best. I understand that some people like Philly, but I totally agree with what Sean said. They quit on their coach last year, and Kellen Moore and his gaping mouth, like that's going to fix this? Sure.
And a running back too. Kellen Moore and Saquon Barkley.
Cowboys fans are happy Kellen Moore's on the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like ask any diehard Cowboys fan who's generally not as arrogant as they're always made out to be. So I'm taking the Cowboys to win the NFC East at +1. Wait, hang on. That's the
160.
Eagles. +160. There you go.
All right. So we all have different teams in the NFC.
I like that. That's the first time that we've all disagreed.
Yeah.
Good job by us.
Shocker. No one else was on Commander's Island with me.
No one else was on Giants Island either. We all watched Daniel Jones.
No.
Holy crap.
I've been mentally keeping a track of all the teams that we don't even say their names in these divisions. And the Giants joined the Cardinals in that group of teams that didn't even get a cursory mention.
But at least the Cardinals they were
feisty last year.
Frisky last year.
Frisky.
I mean, that game against the Texans was pretty close. Honestly, I'm insulted that the Patriots are +2,500 and the Giants are +2,000.
That's egregious.
Like the Giants suck. They look awful. I think Brian Dable is kind of screwed here. I don't think he's as bad of a coach as last year. I think he got so much out of Daniel Jones that the Giants said, let's keep him. What are you doing?
Yeah. He screwed himself that first year. He really did.
Yeah.
And they really should just move on from Daniel Jones and keep Dable. Probably.
I totally agree.
But most likely they'll just get rid of both of them.
Yeah.
And he'll just be back to being an OC somewhere. He might be, honestly, Brian,
Alabama?
Spicy take. Brian Dable,
Alabama?
offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans next year.
Oh, that would be interesting.
When Bobby Sloak is gone.
If I was firing my coach this offseason, I might just hire Brian Dable because of what we said. So wait, the reason you got fired is because you got stuck with a bad quarterback because you made him look good in year one?
Yeah.
That's a good problem to have.
He got fired for a good thing.
Yeah, he was too good in year one. He should have tanked year one, been like, give me a new guy. He should have been Sean McVay shanking Jared Goff. He should have done that to Daniel Jones, and he didn't.
At least Sean McVay got to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, too.
Yes, that's true.
That
is true.
That made sense. Daniel Jones, I never understood how it made sense. The man is athletic, but his most athletic moment ever, where he had a breakaway touchdown run, he tripped at like the 8 and fell on his face.
It looks like he got shot by
Yeah.
a sniper. It's an incredible moment.
So I was doing a live stream after the Texans and Giants preseason game. And apparently there was this rumor that Daniel Jones and Kay Adams were dating. And Kay Adams actually addressed those on the Up and Adams show. And at first it seemed like, no way, nothing's going on here. And then at the very end, sort of like what I do with, hey, what's Paul's sexuality? Kay Adams pulled so my boyfriend, I'm hoping that the offensive line can hold things together for her. So at least Daniel Jones is in the minds of some winning there.
I mean,
even though that's probably not happening.
People do like the beard. They're very they're saying it looks good.
It's a good beard. He's a good looking guy.
He's got that going.
Hey, Jeff Bagwell, easy. All right. Texans time.
10 wins. They get to the AFC Championship game and lose to the Chiefs.
Same thing that I told Sam when we did our little video. 11 wins and the Houston Texans special. losing the divisional round.
Oh,
Boo.
I got 11 wins and losing to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Texans
Swarm until the divisional.
Hey.
And on that note, a real quick garbage time to get us